So we figured out the problem. So let's just put things in order first. So I ordered some bearings for this guy. So I just want to show you the issue with this. So first of all, listen to this. It's making a loud clunking noise. So just listen to this. Nitro engine. Some of this stuff is on the way. So we have identified the problem with this guy. So pretty much this is the problem. So the bearing is bad. Also the shaft, it moves. If you take a look, it moves inside out. So the bearings are definitely bad. I'm not sure what could have caused that. But as you saw, we want bananas with this little guy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the whole engine apart. My carburetor here is pretty good, so I'll do a video on that, a separate video, pretty much cleaning the whole thing up. So first I'm gonna get rid of this carburetor off this. So this is the carb here, so we're gonna take off the carb and just put it to the side, and I'll do a little bit of external cleaning on that. But I'll do, you know what, I'll do overhauling and just clean. We're gonna just clean this guy out. And what we're gonna use is a nitro, okay? So nitro fuel is what we're gonna use to clean all this. But anyways, other than that, we're gonna replace the bearings. So I'll show you a few videos how to replace the bearings on these. Pretty easy stuff. Sometimes they can be stuck completely, but I'm gonna show you guys how to do that proper way. Anyways, let me get this carb off. So first and first, carburetor goes off. This is a little bolt here. This guy comes off. This nut comes off. So keep things in order, okay? Especially your needles, the arm here, how the fuel line is routed. So it does have a little attachment, a little 2 screws here. And what are those screws? Those screws are so you can take your fuel rail and move it around wherever you like. So I'll do videos on that, separate videos. But right now, we're just in process of. We're gonna get this guy out of here. So this pin needs to go. Yeah, it's gonna be another task. So sometimes things just won't go your way. Anyways, I'll just give this a little tap and hopefully it just comes out of there. And it doesn't want to come out of there. So just a little. Okay, so I guess it's gonna stay in there. So it can stay there. So once it loosens up, your carb will come out. So all it does is squeezes. All it does is squeezes the hole there. So let's put this baby to the side. We're not touching that. We could leave this nut on here, and that can stay there. And just tighten it up so we don't lose it. Anyway, so now what we're gonna do here now is this thing is getting tight. Yep, it's going in there. It's going in there, spinning. I don't know. Okay, it's spinning because the carb got to be there. It's just spinning. It's like an overlooking bolt there. Anyways, what we're gonna do next is first I'm gonna switch up my light because my light is giving me a shadow this way. Simply have repositioned myself. So we do got some after run oil, WD-40, and we need to go get a few more things. So there's so much stuff on the way. Let's get all this off. So first of all, we're gonna take off that bolt, and from there we'll take it from there. So right now the problem here is since we took off the piston and everything, there's going to be nothing, the flywheel's not there anymore, so it's going to be hard for me to get this bolt off. So I might have to somehow, some way figure this one out, and I don't want to hurt myself with my finger in there. So what I'll do is I'll put something in here so it doesn't move around crazy, but at the same time you don't want to damage it. Plastic will be a good idea. So plastic is a good idea. So maybe I can just turn it with this instead of an impact. And that thing just eats it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get something else, something better than that. I'm gonna have to do something better than that. So this is good enough here. So there you go. Small little turn, and this baby just comes loose. There you go. So there's our nut there. And this little guy right here, this little guy needs to come off. So we can take that off any moment. We can just simply just push this back. And you don't want to damage anything. That's the issue there. So something of plastic will be a good idea, or a rag on this. And if you put a rag here and you just hit it, oh, okay, everything, the whole table's moving. We don't want that either. We don't want the whole table moving. Let's put this piston back. Okay, let's Good idea, so you guys can see it right here. There you go. So you guys know what I'm working on. A little bit back. There you go. Right there. That looks good. Anyways, so something like this, if you could put this rag here and just tap it, and the crank should come off, and this little guy right here, this little guy stays here. Can't lose that. So here it comes out our crank. What happened, crank? Mr. Crank just stopped. Why did it stop? We're almost there to see. Look how much play it has. See that? Look at that. That's the issue there. So right now, even the crank is back a little bit, it still shouldn't move that much. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this rag right on the tip. I'm gonna tap it one more time. So this guy completely comes out. So check out this bearing. Look at this. Listen to this bearing. Listen to this bearing. Look at this bearing. This bearing is done. It's shot. Look at that. Look at the movement. Look at the movement on this bearing. Okay, so it's causing a lot of trouble here. So what could have had happen here is overheating could have been one of the issues. So overheating would have been one of the issues. There you go. So that's one of the bearings. So usually these bearings won't come out that easy, so it must have been jammed onto that. So our crank looks good. So if there's any grooves made here by the bearing here, your crank would have been bad. But there's our crank right there. We're gonna let this baby sit right here. So we still got one bearing in there. So if you take off these bearings, usually what we do here is I do something similar to this. So first of all, you need to put something in there that fits directly in there. So something like this tool can be a good idea. So it can just sit on the edge of the bearing and you can tap it out. But usually over time, they're seized in there, or this bearing I can feel a little bit of a bad feeling to this bearing. I can hear it and feel it. I gotta sneeze. Anyways, sorry about that. So what I like to do is if you take your torch or a lighter, usually lighter will be a good idea. I can't even see it because so much brightness here, but I can feel the heat there. You want to heat the tip of this block here. What's that's gonna happen is it's gonna heat the block, and your bearing is gonna free out of there because the metal always expands from heat. Okay, so it's gonna give it enough spacing to get this baby out. So that'd be one of the easy way to get the bearings out of there. So to get the bearings out of the crank, this is what you're gonna do. Okay, so I might have a few parts of this video. You guys can just follow up on my channel and different things. So anyways, after this, we're gonna take this baby and we're gonna wash this engine. Even though it doesn't need washing, it's pretty clean and looking good, but we still want to do that. Okay, so heating up this guy should release that bearing, and now all I need to do is I need to put this my tool in the back there, and if I tap on that tool evenly, gotta be evenly. A lot of people use a crank and they just push it out of there. A lot of times that bearing just comes out of there, but sometimes the bearing just won't budge. Okay, the bearing just simply will not budge. Okay, my tool is getting stuck in there. We don't want that. What's wrong with me? This tool is perfectly like this, almost the same size as this is gonna get stuck if I put this in now. So I need to tap another tool on top of a tool to get that tool out of there. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna heat this up a little bit more. A lot of times you could just stick the crank in there and that should push it out, but you need to or use some type of tool. I'm sure they sell something for these bearing pullers, but this is how I always done it before. I never made videos on it, but I usually heat it up and I just hit this guy. He doesn't want to come up. You know what? I need to heat the crap out of it. Okay, so bear with me And I'm gonna pause the camera so I don't record like 20 minutes on just heating. Okay, so I heated this up a bit, and the whole block is kind of warm, and a little bit more. While I was doing that, I was thinking maybe I don't need to. All that noise you probably hear in the background, digging and stuff, they're building the new roads outside, and the mayor doesn't want to pay us, so we had to shut the business down. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. It's 24th today, and well, it's 23rd, I think. Yeah, 23rd. It's the day before the Thanksgiving, whatever day. I don't even know. So I went and got me this 8mm socket, snap-on. It was a smaller extension. It fits right there in the board perfectly. Goes all the way down. And for any reason, I do not want to hit the block. So pretty much a few taps, and if I'm lucky enough, this bearing will start to come out. So that's how we're gonna replace it and remove it. Small little more tap. I'm just not hitting it too hard, even though you see I'm going crazy with this. So this is how we're removing these bearings here of these cranks, and this is one of it. This is pretty much jammed onto that. So this is what this looked like. So pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit this guy. And this is how I always do it. It's simple and easy and crazy. And there's your bearing, okay? And I went a little bit too hard on this. And there's our second bearing. So this bearing sits in front of the crank here. So I still need to get this guy out of there. Look at that. And you always want to inspect the inside so there's no any damages here. So this looks pretty good to me. The crank was kind of bouncing around, and it did hit a few piece areas. So one thing I want to mention is there's a small little tiny hole right here. Okay, the camera's not going to focus on it, but you will see a small little hole. And if you're wondering what that right there, you can see it right there, small little tiny hole in there. That's an oil. That hole is for the oil. And what that does is it lets oil to the front of the crank. So this bearing here can get lubricated, okay? So this bearing can get lube, and that's what that hole is for. And a few little things you want to pay attention to, how these stuff gets lubricated in there. But anyway, it looks pretty good in there, and I'm happy with how everything looks. So what I want to do is I want to clean this crazy engine block. So, and I'm not gonna go bananas with this. So let's clean a few things. And I originally wanted to put this baby into nitro. You know what? Let's get the nitrogen and let's clean this with nitrogen.